welcome to maybe Philosophy 3, I think it is, or maybe 4. I'm going to try to keep this one quick because I don't like long YouTube videos. So I'm going to do a lot of reading off my phone of my notes that I've written down. I'll start with the things that I still believe, as to keep it simple so I don't have to re-explain. Still an atheist, potentially a deist, but mostly other people, if I explained what I believe, would call me an atheist. Still believe in science, with the definition of science being a methodology, not a religion, but a methodology by which we create and test models of what we cannot see using what we can. Observe would be a better word than see. Still a materialist, a naturalist, still do not believe in free will, so determinist. I think we came about by Darwinian evolution. I'm still potentially a utilitarian. And I say potentially because I'm kind of shifting towards absurdism or nihilism. I say absurdism because what catalyzed this shift was Camus' book called The Stranger, and he's a big absurdist. So I want to talk about nihilism, and I still think that gratitude, health, agency, relationships, and purpose are the 5 most important things for happiness, but I'm no longer so sure that happiness is the thing we should be striving for. I do think there's something to strive for, though. Well, I'll start with what I do think is worth anything, if anything. I, for a long time, called myself a utilitarian because I believed if anything had any value, ultimately you could boil it down to its value was derived from how much suffering it could save you or how much pleasure it could give you. And I thought happiness and pleasure and mitigation of suffering were all the same thing, and they were self-evidently important. And I'm no longer convinced of that. I don't think, even though they are the foundation of importance and value, I don't think it's self-evident that they are valuable and important. So the analogy that I came up with in my head was just like in Minecraft. Ultimately, everything is sitting on the bedrock. But even if you dig through the bedrock, there's nothing below that. So I think happiness and avoiding suffering is the bedrock, but even that is not seated on anything. So even that's not self-evident. What I wrote here is the word happiness has become like a piece of chewed up gum that lost all favor. What do I really mean when I say happiness? What I mean when I say happiness is it's the bedrock of purpose. I mean to say that ultimately we just want to be content and everything else is simply a means to get there. I don't think knowing this even requires an understanding of philosophy. You can learn this by observing your life with a sense of inquisitive curiosity. If you try to understand why you are doing anything, what is really motivating you to act in any targeted way, you will realize that you are simply making an attempt to avoid suffering and achieve a state of contentment. Just kind of to say that what I've changed my opinion about is happiness is maybe not the ultimate thing that we want to achieve as much as being content. And it may sound similar. I think for a long time I was using them interchangeably, but the small difference I've realized is happiness is an infinite game. You can always be happier. I personally, as someone who was a pseudo drug addict, I was never happy enough. I was never high enough. If I could have ever felt better, I always would have said yes, and I think that's true for everyone. I think no one's ever like, yeah, I feel good, but I don't want to feel great. So I think the difference between happiness and contentment is that contentment is not an infinite game. It is it's a winnable game. So that's that. And then lastly, the thing I want to talk about was nihilism and absurdism. I think the book The Stranger by Albert Camus really catalyzed this, as I said, and it just helped me to realize that ultimately, even if being content is the foundation of everything we want, does not matter. But I I can't give you a logical syllogism for why being content is self-evidently important, but I will say we're biological creatures, and a lot of our desires and biological processes happen sublogically. I don't get hungry because I give you a logical syllogism for why hunger is important. It just happens. And I think, there's people who try to go their whole life just giving up their desires and not wanting sex and not wanting food and not wanting money. Typically these are Buddhist monk types. And I think in theory that is the best way to be content, is to desire nothing, because desire is a contract with yourself to be unhappy until you've gotten the thing you're desiring. So in theory, dropping all of your desires would be the most efficient and most surefire way to become content. However, I don't know that it's possible to rid yourself of your biological nature and your human impulses to desire certain things because they happen below the level of your conscious mind. So perhaps the easiest way to go about life would be to give in to your biological cravings to the minimally satisfying extent. So ultimately I can't tell you why that's important, so I would say I'm a nihilist, but perhaps to some degree we shouldn't all be Buddhist monks. We should still be pleasure-seeking monkeys. So that's the conclusion for that video. Hopefully it's in focus and the lighting's good so I don't have to re-record this. Alright. Love you. Bye.